What is going on, guys? In this video today, we are going to be walking you through the pros and the cons of living in Phoenix, Arizona. Now, this isn't Phoenix, just the city of Phoenix. This is the Phoenix metro area. So just in general, what are some of the things that I've noticed that I love about living here? And what are some of the things that I do not love about living here? And those will be the cons. So we'll be walking you through specifically those reasons. We're gonna hop into it right now. If this is your first time visiting the channel, in this video channel, we cover everything there is to know about moving and living here in Phoenix, Arizona. So if this is your first time and you like the content, make sure you comment down below and let me know your thoughts. That way I know what videos to make for future references. And if you're thinking about, making a move to Phoenix, Arizona, we get calls and texts from people just like you that are thinking about moving every single day. So feel free to call or send us a text or email if that's the preferred method of communication. Even if you're thinking in 7 days or 7 weeks or, even 7 years, we'd be happy to get you started on your home buying process here in the Phoenix, Arizona area. So as I had mentioned, I had moved here from Nebraska a couple years ago, and so I just wanted to shoot this video and walk you through some of the things that I love about Phoenix and some of the things that I do not love about Phoenix. There's plenty of both, so without further ado, let's get into number one. The number one reason why I think Phoenix, Arizona is one of the best spots to live, and this is the first pro, is the consistent weather. There's not a lot of rainy days. There's 300 days of sun. There's over 3,000 annual hours of sunshine a year. So every day you know what you're getting. It's going to be sunny. It's going to be beautiful. The average low temperatures in the wintertime are about 50 degrees. The highs are 60s. And yes, it does get a little bit hot. We'll cover that later in the cons. But overall, just the consistent weather, we don't really get any natural disasters. It's just sunshine. It's just the heat. And it is just absolutely amazing. The weather was the number one reason why I chose to move here to Phoenix, Arizona. On the flip side of that, the first con is Phoenix is a massive, massive, massive city, guys. Not only population, there's over about 5 million people. And at the height of people moving to Phoenix, there was over 275 people moving to Phoenix every single day. So there's a lot of demand with people, chasing the weather, chasing the lifestyle. And Phoenix is just so spread out in general too. So from corner to corner, from, up in Sun City and Surprise, all the way down to Queen Creek, Santan Valley, Florence area, that is about 80 miles. So it is a huge, huge, huge city, guys. So if you're thinking about moving here, you're gonna wanna pick the right area, because otherwise you're gonna be spending a ton of time in the car. So Phoenix is a massive city, and that I think is one of the drawbacks. I came from Omaha, Nebraska, a little bit smaller. You could get everywhere in about 20 minutes. Phoenix, if you're going corner to corner, it's gonna take you about an hour. So make sure if you're thinking about moving here, you're living in the right part of town, because otherwise you're gonna get a lot of windshield time. Now, to counter that, the best part about Phoenix is how much opportunity and job growth there is down here. There's a huge chip plant that just announced down in Queen Creek in Phoenix. They're offering about 5,000 to 6,000 jobs each. So that is just one small instance of how many job opportunities there are here in the Phoenix metro. And I started selling real estate a couple years ago, and there are just so many opportunities of people that I've met, of businesses, of unique businesses that they are running here in Phoenix. So yes, there is more competition, but with more competition, there's just so many people and so many different niches that if you are looking for a job, there's job opportunities everywhere. Especially, we get a lot of snowbirds down here, as you know. So healthcare is actually one of the biggest hires of jobs down here in Phoenix. So if you are in the healthcare industry, you got to take a look at moving to Phoenix, Arizona, because there are just a plethora of jobs everywhere, guys. And not to mention, you're going to be living in the sunshine. So who wouldn't want that, to be able to help people and to be living in the beautiful sunshine down here in Phoenix? So massive opportunities for job growth down here in Phoenix. Now, one of the cons of living here is housing has gotten expensive. When we first moved down here a couple years ago, we were just renting a 1-bedroom, 1-bathroom apartment. We were in a Midtown Phoenix area. If you haven't checked out my video on the vlog, definitely go check it out. So one of the major cons about living here in Phoenix is that housing has gotten very, very, very expensive, guys. Phoenix was one of the highest appreciating areas in the 2020, 2021, and into the first half of 2022. So homes were rising at 15, 20, 25% every single year. And that has just made some houses absolutely, absolutely very expensive. Down here in the East Valley, in Chandler and Gilbert, the average home sale, single family home, is about $575,000. So it's gonna take a lot more to get into your house down here. However, compared to, areas of San Francisco and LA, which is where a lot of people from Phoenix move from, it's not that expensive in the grand scheme of it. But if you're coming from the Midwest, which is where I came from, I bought a house in 2019 and it was $150,000, 3x2, 1,500 square feet. It was only $150,000. So down here in Phoenix, that's going to run you about $350 to $375 to $400 depending on what area of town. So rising housing costs is definitely a con of living here in Phoenix, Arizona. And rents have also risen very, very, very high during, again, 2020, 2021, 2022. We were seeing rents increase at about 15 to 20 to 25% every single year. So rents have definitely gotten up. One of our friends, he's renting a 3-bedroom house here in the East Valley down here in Gilbert, and he's paying about $2,100 a month. That is just in rent alone. So rising housing costs and rising cost of living is definitely something you got to be aware of before you make the move down here to Phoenix. So one of the things I did not realize before I moved down here to Phoenix is how good of a location it actually is within the United States. From about 5 hours in every direction, you can get all kinds of different geography. So, just in Phoenix alone, you got 2 hours up to Flagstaff. Flagstaff is very, very, very different weather. It's about 30 degrees on average cooler. You can ski there. It looks like you're in, Colorado. It sits at about 8,000 feet. So just a completely different climate. You got Sedona, again, about an hour and a half north of Phoenix, and again, that's a completely different climate as well. It's about 25 degrees cooler. So just easy getaways from Phoenix that you wouldn't get in other areas of the country. So again, I'm from Nebraska, so if I drove 3 hours in any direction, it's gonna look about the same. However, in Phoenix, it is completely different. If you drive 3 hours west, you're gonna be out in the sand dunes in Yuma. You got 5 hours to San Diego, 5 hours to LA, 2 hours to Flagstaff, 4 hours of the Grand Canyon. There are just so many great, amazing day trips that you can take here, and just the amount of different stuff to do within a short drive of Phoenix, Arizona. Now, one of the major cons, and you are going to hear it everywhere whenever you tell people that you're thinking about moving to Phoenix, Arizona, the very first thing that they're gonna say is, oh my gosh, I can't believe you are gonna move there and you were gonna live there in the summers. Guys, between you and me, it is really not that bad. I love to play golf, and I play golf all summer long in the afternoon. So it's not terrible. It's definitely doable. However, for a majority of people, the summer is by far the worst time of year. Averages in June, July, and August can be 105, 110. It rarely gets above 115. I know it sounds crazy, but there's no humidity down here, so it's not quite as hot and oppressive as other areas. For example, in Nebraska, if it was ever over 95 degrees, it was sweltering out. Nobody wanted to be outside. Here, 95 doesn't even feel that bad because of how dry it is. But just know that if you are moving here, it is going to be very, very, very hot here in the summertime from about mid-June all the way through September. And that was a change of thought, and that was very different from me because back home, by the time September starts coming around, it's a little cooler and it's starting to cool down. Not here in Phoenix. It's still about 100 degrees every single day, and the summers can get a little bit long. So just how we survive here is, just take day trips up to Flagstaff, get out into, the White Mountains and Show Low, get up to Sedona. There are tips and tricks that you can do to survive and not make Phoenix as oppressive here. But just know if you're moving here, the summers are very hot, guys. Now, we talked a little bit earlier about how good of a location Phoenix is within the US, but just how many opportunities there are for outdoor activities. So before I ever had thought of moving down here, I thought Phoenix was just, dead flat. It was just good weather. And boy, was I blown away when I came in. There are mountains everywhere down here in Phoenix, guys. So if you like to mountain bike, if you like to hike, if you like to ride your bicycle, golf, tennis, pickleball all year round, Phoenix is by far gonna be one of the places that you're gonna wanna look at because of how many outdoor activities there are. Even if you like to, be on a lake and you have a boat, there are a couple lakes about an hour outside of downtown that are very, very easily accessible to get to. And there's just so many outdoor activities, and not to mention then in the summertime, an hour and a half to 2 hours away from world-class camping up in Flagstaff, Sedona. We went camping last year for the first time. We had an amazing experience in the summertime. So if you love outdoor activities, you gotta look at Phoenix, Arizona, because there are a million things to do down here in Phoenix. So if you're an outdoor enthusiast, put Phoenix, Arizona on your map. Now, I talked earlier about one of the cons of, Phoenix is just a massive city. And with that, there's not a lot of great public transportation. Yes, there is a metro line that goes, it's kind of in the central area. However, and there are some buses that run around, But for the most part, if you're moving to Phoenix, Arizona, you are going to have to get a car. Obviously, I sell real estate down here in Phoenix, so I'm in the car all the time. And if I'm going from, the East Valley to the west, it's going to be about 40 to 45 minutes. So a lot of car time. And that's definitely one of the drawbacks to living here, is that you do need a car. It's so spread out. And so if you're thinking, if you're moving here from the East Coast, Washington, D.C., Boston, New York, I've been there a couple of times. I know how good their public transportation is. You are not going to find that down here in Phoenix, Arizona. You're going to have to buy a car. And that's definitely one of the drawbacks of living down here. If you guys have watched my other videos, you guys know I absolutely love to golf. And that is going to be one of my highest pros about living down here, is you can play golf 12 months a year. Actually, a local secret that I've learned is December is actually one of the worst months to play golf down here. Never thought I would say that living down here, but the nice thing is that even though it's not the best weather, it's only about 60 degrees. In my book, that's cold. You can still play golf all year round. Like I said earlier, in the summertime, as a local golfer, it is by far the best time to golf because rates are about 40 to 50% off of what they are in the wintertime. There's nobody out on the course. Just make sure you bring water because it does get a little warm. But it's just so nice to be able to work on your game all year round. So if you love to play golf, gotta look at Phoenix, Arizona. And again, we talked earlier about just how consistent the weather is. There's not a lot of days that you get rained out or it's super windy that you can't go out and play. I know there was a ton of those back in Nebraska. But just for the most part, you can play golf in all 12 months at all times a year. And that is by far one of my favorite parts about living here, is that I can get out and play for 12 months a year. Now, there was a recent study after COVID about the schooling system down here in Phoenix, Arizona. And according to, WalletHub and niche.com, Phoenix does not have some of the best public school systems down here in comparison to other areas of the country. So I came from, again, Nebraska, and according to those same sources, Nebraska was rated, much higher in the top, 20. Down here in Phoenix, Arizona, they were ranked towards the bottom 3 according to WalletHub. So public school system here isn't as good as other areas. However, I will say, guys, one of my really good friends, he's a teacher down here in Phoenix, and he said just the biggest difference is classroom sizes are a little bit larger. But for the most part, he said, there's still a ton of good kids. There's a lot of really good teachers here. There's plenty of charter schools available if you're thinking about sending your kid to, a private school. So there are a lot of schools here. There's a lot of reasons why, the school system is rated lower. I'll let you go ahead and research those. But just in general, just know that if you are trying to send your kid to the best schools in the country, Phoenix, Arizona may not have the best options for you. Again, according to niche.com or WalletHub, that we don't have the best public school system down here. All right, guys, so finally, my last pro about living here in Phoenix, Arizona is the airport. It sounds surprising, but I love to travel. So we travel to the airport all the time. And one of the nice things is that, there's direct flights to everywhere throughout the city. Again, I came from Omaha, Nebraska, so no matter really where we were going, we had to stop somewhere else. That's one of the best things about living here in Phoenix, is that how many direct flights are available to here in the United States. And it's also an international airport, so there's plenty of travel opportunities here in Phoenix. And I also want to talk about just the location of Phoenix. So, my sister, she lives in Denver, Colorado, and every time we got to go to the airport, it's about 50 minutes to an hour because of how far outside of the city the airport is. On the flip side, one of the best parts about Phoenix's airport, it is right in the middle of the city, so no matter how far you are away from Phoenix area, it's only going to be about a 45-minute drive at the most if you are in the Phoenix metro. So definitely one of the best parts about living in Phoenix is how accessible the travel is and just where the city airport is located within the general city. So another really good part about living in Phoenix, Arizona is just how much there is activity just to do. If you're a sports fan, if you are a musician, or there's always something going on here in Phoenix, Arizona. There are, festivals every weekend. There's all kinds of music, farmers markets every weekend. As you know, Phoenix has all 4 major sporting teams, so there's always sporting events, major concerts. At the time of this recording, Taylor Swift just came here and she was sold out for 2 or 3 days. So if you love to going to concerts, if you love to going to festivals, if you love doing those mass migration or mass people events, Phoenix, Arizona has everything that you need to know and everything that you want to do and can imagine doing here in the city. So definitely one of the best parts about living here. All right, guys, so that is my personal list of pros and cons about living here in the Phoenix metro area. I want to hear your comments about what are some of the things A, I may have missed, and B, what your thoughts are of my personal list of pros and cons. So again, if you like this video and you want to know more about, certain areas of town, or you want to know more about what it's like living in Phoenix, Arizona, again, just please feel free to reach out. You can text me, call me, email me. I'm happy to share my story of why I picked Phoenix and, just different areas of the city that I enjoy living in. So again, please feel free to reach out, and thank you for watching. We'll catch you on the next video, and we'll see you soon.